What's up everyone, we're back at it again. My name is Brad and welcome back to my channel. I have a plant chore that I want to do today and I also want to take you along on this ride. I'm trying to post more frequently, especially since Mother Nature has told me that my plants are waking up, and let me show you exactly what I mean. Take a look at my Monstera. Look at that. New growth. So with my plants waking up, I think it's time for me to post more frequently. And let me talk a little bit about what I'm going to do today. So today, I want to take my philodendron brasil, one that I have growing up on a moss pole, and I'm going to do a bit of a chop. I'm going to chop up that philodendron brasil so I can get multiple props. And then I'm going to take those multiple props and I'm going to put them in a pot where I have my ficus elastica. So I think all in all, it's going to look really amazing. And with that, let's get started. Before we get into the main event of the day, I want to show you this new plant that we just got. This is the staghorn fern. It has a beautiful window right above it, but I'm really struggling with figuring out how to keep this base nice and wet. So if you have any suggestions, leave them down in the comment section. I would love to hear them. All right, enough distractions. Let's get to the main event of the day. So here is the philodendron brasil that I want to do the chop on. And the philodendron brasil, it looks absolutely beautiful, and I love how it's growing up this particular moss pole. But I also don't think that I am fully showcasing what this beautiful plant can do. I think it might be best if I put this in a larger pot with my ficus elastica, because of the fact that these leaves will contrast the dark leaves of the ficus elastica. And I just really want to put it in a more visible spot. Right now it's in a bedroom and not that many people see it. So while I love having this philodendron brasil growing up this moss pole beautifully, I might put a different plant in here instead. And here is the ficus elastica. And I've already put some pieces of the philodendron brasil down here just to see how it will look. So this is the look that I want to go with. I'm going to have multiple cuttings that are in this particular pot, and those cuttings should fill up the empty space beautifully, and then eventually they're going to waterfall over the pot. And again, I just think that these leaves will give a nice contrast to the nice burgundy leaves of the ficus elastica. Grab some scissors. Okay, so I've sterilized these scissors. You can either use a flame or you can just use soap and water, and make sure that you wipe that soap residue off really well before you use these scissors. Now, with this particular plant, I can make a ton of cuttings. So I think that I'm going to do a mixture of water propagation as well as just straight into the pot propagation. And I'm hoping that the ones that I put straight into the pot will be okay, because I really want to speed up the process of allowing them to root into that main pot, as opposed to having to transition water prop roots over to soil roots. So let's find a good spot to do this. If you like videos like this and want to continue to see more videos about houseplant tips and tricks, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. It's totally free. It would mean a lot. Thank you so much. Let's get 1,000 subscribers. Now back to the video. Let's get to the task at hand. So I have this very beautiful philodendron brasil. Nice root ball on it. Let me get up close so you can see it. So good roots. And that's what we want to see. But I think it's just time for a change. Let me knock out. I think another thing that I want to point out with this particular philodendron brasil is that the roots really have gotten nice and established in the moss pole. You can actually see a lot of these healthy roots in here. So maybe I won't cut it all off, but I do want to still get some of these cuttings in that pot with my Ficus elastica. So right now what I'm doing is I'm just removing some of the wire supports that I have that initially helped my philodendron brasil climb up the moss pole. Okay, so this one right here should give me several cuttings. Then I have just a nice, beautiful, I don't know, what should I do? Tell me in the comment sections what you think I should do. Should I go ahead and chop this up, or should I continue to let it grow up the moss pole? So I'm gonna put this to the side and maybe we'll make that another video if you decide that I should chop this up. But we still do have this particular cutting that we can use. So I'm gonna go ahead and chop this up. Let's see how many cuttings I can get. So when you're propping any kind of philodendron or any kind of pothos, but this is a philodendron brasil, you wanna make sure that you cut in between the internode. So this particular swelling right here is considered a node, and so is this swelling down here. So you want to cut right in the middle, like so. And if you're doing any kind of water prop, you want to make sure that you allow for the cutting to callus over. So what that means is you can see that there's this wound that has developed. You want to allow it to kind of develop a scab before placing it in water. Otherwise, what's going to happen is this bottom of the cutting will rot. So the scabbing can take 30 minutes, it can take an hour, but make sure that the bottom is dry before you do any kind of propagation with it. So we have one cutting. We have two cuttings. We're gonna do 3, 4. Let's do 5, 6. See here, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 cuttings. Excellent. I made a bit of a mess. Let's clean this up before we do our next step. Okay, decent transition. So now that we have our cuttings, what we need to do is we need to get some water. Now, it took me about 30 minutes or so to actually fully clean up. And because of that, my cutting has fully calloused over. So that's gonna allow for me to, again, put half of my cuttings in the water and half of the cuttings in my pot that has my ficus in it. So let's go ahead and get some water so we can begin the water prop and dirt prop here now. So we have a nice cup here, so let's go ahead and get some water in it. I like to do warm water. So here is my cup that I have filled up with water. Here are my cuttings. I have the cup by a nice sunny window. Doesn't look sunny right now because it's a bit rainy outside, but that is okay. And I'm only going to put half of the cuttings in the water because I want to do the rest in a soil prop. When you put the cuttings in the water, you want to make sure that you put them in the water in the correct direction. So when you look at your cutting, you have this V shape. If you turn it upside down, it's more, we'll call it an N shape. you want to make sure that your cutting is turned in the direction where you have a V shape. And the reason is because you're going to have new growth that appears from the prior leaf. And so in this case, we'll have new growth that will pop up right here off of the prior leaf. If you do not place it in the correct direction, so if you place it down like this, well, then your new growth is going to end up in the water, and that's not what we want. So let's just go ahead and begin placing this in the water. Now you'll hear different things about how often you should change out your water when you're doing the water prop. I don't think you should actually change the water out. I think you should just top the water off. And by that, I mean, as the water is getting depleted because of the fact that you have evaporation and because as your roots develop, they are going to soak up water. As it evaporates and your plant begins to drink, or your cuttings begin to drink the water, it is going to cause, obviously, the water to go down. And at the same time, when you have these cuttings in the water, they're actually producing a hormone. And that hormone is helping with the production of roots in the cutting. If you were to, let's say, dump this water out periodically and give it fresh water, then what's going to happen is it's going to slow down the production of root development. So with that being said, I think it's best just to top the water off as opposed to just dumping the water out and getting fresh water periodically. And now for part 2, which is to put these cuttings into this pot right here with my Ficus elastica. Now it's a bit dry, which is okay. But what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to make sure that I water this thoroughly, and I'm going to make sure, or I'm going to need to make sure that I keep the top few inches of the soil wet for about a week or so as the roots are going to develop. So to do this prop, I'm just going to take my finger, form a little divot in the pot, and similar to before, I am going to make sure that as a V, it is pointing up and not down. So let's go ahead and take care of the rest of these. We have now added all of the cuttings of the philodendron brasil into the bottom of this pot. I do have a little bit of offshoot coming on this ficus. I'm going to take care of that because I would rather have this tree form instead of a bushy form. Okay, now finally, I need to make sure that I water. This water is going to help settle in the soil around the cutting. And also, this particular ficus was very thirsty. So it's accomplishing 2 things. I will note that I have thoroughly watered because what's going to happen is I'm going to have water come down the bottom of this pot. So I'm going to give this one more jug, and hopefully that will be enough for this particular plant. Jug number 2. After 2 bottles and about 30 seconds later, I have water in the bottom. So I have fully watered this particular plant. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I love that you're around, and I hope that you're really enjoying the content. Please be sure to let me know whether or not you think I should chop off my entire philodendron brasil. I would love to hear your feedback. If enough of you tell me that I should do it, I'll go ahead and do it, and we'll just see what happens. Again, thank you so much for watching. My name is Brad. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. With that, I'll see you on the next one.